Welcome to our discussion of the Sustainability Improvement Plan's introduction chapter. This is the first chapter of the plan, even though we talked about the stakeholder chapter in our previous session. You may recall that we did the stakeholder chapter first, even though it's the second chapter in our template, because you need stakeholder buy-in to have any hope of making improvements. By the end of this video, you will be able to write the opening, the section on the organization's background, something on the sustainability issues in theory affecting your project, and the compliance requirements. Let's start by recognizing that this chapter is the beginning of your entire proposal. Yes, there will be an executive summary, but this is really the starting point, so make it compelling. You may want your opening paragraph to make the business case for sustainability, why sustainability improvements are important. Or you may want to stress the importance of the specific focus of your sustainability efforts. Our template has 3 parts to this chapter. The first describes the organization's background, whether it is a business, nonprofit, school, or government, and gives an overview of its structure and size, products and services, and provides some research on industry trends. It also often includes a business scan on how the business fits into its setting. We'll talk about a couple of options for that. Your proposal will likely be read by insiders and outsiders, so it needs to be a careful balance. Enough for outside readers to understand the context of your proposal, but not so much that your internal readers lose interest. You might include the vision or mission statements, if the organization has one, the size and structure of the organization, and a short history. You might want to include an overview of the types of products or services the organization offers. This is not intended to be a comprehensive list, but a brief discussion to get the reader thinking about the types of sustainability improvements that might be explored. Consider whether it's appropriate to include a picture of a key product or of the location, if it provides an idea of the services offered. If there have been significant changes to the industry, either in growth or decline, or in technology and innovation, or in the sustainability arena, you might want to highlight the changes here, since they may affect the sustainability choices that you will recommend. Then you should look at the surrounding community or business environment that could positively or negatively affect success. There are several choices you can consider. We'll cover 2 here that are particularly appropriate for sustainability improvement planning. First is the TOES: threats, opportunities, weaknesses, and strengths. This is a spin-off of the SWOT, which is more familiar to most leaders and managers. But it's a much more sustainable approach because it's holistic, looking at the intersection of internal and external factors. Step 1 is to identify the internal and external threats, just as you do with a SWOT. Those are located in the outer row and column. Then look at each combination. At the intersection of strengths and opportunities, ask how the organization's strengths can help you capitalize on opportunities. In the opportunities versus weaknesses, ask how opportunities help you overcome the weaknesses in the organization. In strengths versus threats, how can strengths help you counter threats? And in weaknesses and threats, how can threats make the weaknesses worse, and how can you minimize both? Another sustainability-oriented scan that you can consider is the STEEP. Rather than looking simply at generic opportunities and threats as the SWOT does, it divides those into 5 factors. S for social cultural, T for technological, E for economic, E for ecological, and P for political legal. Remember, always explain the tool, citing your sources. Then show it. And finally, write a short paragraph for the impact of each factor on your project. The next section of the template discusses the global sustainability issues affecting your organization that are the focus of your project and the underlying theories that explain why the issues have developed. First, identify the global factors that led you to select a particular focus for your sustainability improvement project. Don't apply it to your organization yet. You'll do that during your baseline audit. For example, you and your stakeholder may want to reduce waste. Well, why is that a problem? You could describe diminishing resources or overflowing landfills. Other examples include climate change, product toxicity, quality of work or life, energy, water scarcity, fair trade and human rights, biodiversity and deforestation, or pollution. After describing the issue, use theory to explain why this is happening. Explore your textbooks or trade books, or research credible sources on the internet to find a sustainability theory that best explains the issue. This demonstrates your deep understanding of the underlying theories, which increases your credibility with your stakeholders, whether academic or organizational. For example, you may note that this one is the triple bottom line. Here's another example. Natural step describes the impact on nature and humans of resource removal, pollution, degradation, or biological and social stress. In another example, Cradle to Cradle examines the impact of products, whether grown or manufactured, at all stages of the life cycle. The old paradigm, Cradle to Grave, created an expectation of using resources with little concern about impact to make products that would be discarded after use. Cradle to Cradle explores the options to create a circular economy for zero impact and zero waste. The last part of the template has you examining potential compliance issues that your project could help or might generate additional concerns. You'll want to identify regulatory compliance requirements impacted by your project, whether federal, state, or local. You should also identify potential voluntary compliance standards that will help the organization be more sustainable. First, if your project is environmental, check those compliance requirements. Be thorough in your exploration because there are often restrictions or guidelines at multiple levels regarding product selection or disposal, or facility modification, or landscaping. If you are affecting the quality of life or quality of work of employees, or the supply chain, or the community, then you should look for any social compliance requirements, whether they regard the safety of staff installing new eco-friendly equipment, or disposing of old, or the personnel requirements, or the impact allowed for consumers or the community. Depending on your project, there may be other compliance agencies you need to consult. If you're working with food or health products, you may need to consult FDA requirements. For safety, there may be OSHA requirements. And don't forget to identify voluntary standards that can help you and your organization with your sustainability efforts. Here are a number of options that you can explore. And there are an increasing number of compliance standards that include expectations for workers and the surrounding community. Make sure you include any that your project can affect, whether positively or negatively. So, you've looked at the organization's background, sustainability issues and theories, and compliance requirements affecting your project. Write a paragraph reminding readers of what you've covered, and conclude with a transition sentence telling them where this information will be relevant in future chapters. There always needs to be a thread connecting the whole story that you're telling. Now it's your turn. Draft an introduction chapter for your sustainability improvement project and have fun with it.